welcome to our training session. We hope you've enjoyed the last few weeks. Today we're going to do something slightly different. We've got Beau to help us demo. With the weather being so nice, I understand everyone's going to be spending a lot of time in their gardens, so it'd be nice to teach our dogs something in some way to settle, so they could be out in the garden with us. So we've got a raised bed to practice this on. It's just about teaching the dog to go to a place to settle down, a bit like Beau's doing now, but we can send them to somewhere. So we can use this at home and can then transfer it to if you're going out to pubs, to parks, to anywhere like that, just where you can go and be social. So to start this, we're going to get our dogs interested in some food, and we're simply just going to pop a treat on the bed. So for this, you don't necessarily need to use a raised bed. You can use a mat, a towel, anything that your dog is happy to go and lie on. So as Beau's on there, we're going to drop another treat on there, and then reward again for staying on there. So for the purpose of the training, I'm going to lure her off, and then we're going to throw a treat on. Good girl. And then we're going to reward again for staying on the target mat. Good girl. Oh, very nice. Good girl. So for Beau, she has done this before. She's used to doing it very well. But for some dogs it may take slightly longer. So you may find that they'll jump on and jump off. Having something that's slightly raised does make it easier, just because they've got to go up a level onto it. Whereas if they're just on something like a towel, it's easier for them to step off. Good girl. Now as she's getting the hang of it, we can start putting a word to it. So something like mat or bed works just fine. So, bed. Good girl. Nice. Good girl. So just before we're about to put the treat on the target, we're going to tell her what we want. So on your bed. Nice, good girl. Bed. So all the time I'm not rewarding from my hand, I'm rewarding from the floor on the mat. That just makes it clear that the reward is coming from that place instead of me. Otherwise she'll be following me around. If I was rewarding from my hand, she'd be more inclined to follow my hand. Good girl. So, ready? Go on your bed. Good girl. Nice. Good girl. She's making full use of it today. Very nice. And we're also going to teach our dogs an off command as well for this. Good girl. This just makes it a clear indication that we're telling them to end of what we're asking them. Come on, good girl. Ready? So before we're going to lure her off, we're going to tell her what we want, so off. And then we're going to pop a treat on the floor. This can work as well for dogs that like to jump on the sofas or anything like that. It just helps with that communication of what we're asking them. So a lot of times people say, oh, the dog will jump on the sofa but it won't want to get off. But if we make it into a fun game for them, it will make that slightly easier. Go on your bed. Good girl. Very nice. Good. And off. Good girl. So again for these we can extend the amount of time that they are on there. So we can tell us got on her bed. Good. And then we can wait a couple of seconds. With some dogs, if they know a sit or a down, they may start throwing out random tricks that they know to get more of a reward. Oh dear. Good girl. She's staying on there. I'm going to keep rewarding. Good girl. Good girl. Very nice. Oops. Good girl. The dogs will start to see this area as a positive place. They'll understand that each time they go on there, they're getting rewarded, they're getting food. So they'll be more inclined to run onto it to get that reward. Good girl. Come on, off. Good girl. We've also got set up some pots here. This can be the start of scent work. Again, for something that you can do in the garden, especially when the weather's hot, it can be slightly more difficult to take the dogs out on walks if it's busy and things like that. So this is a great way to give them some more mental stimulation to keep them occupied.
Sorry, we had a wasp.
So to start this, we're going to start off with one. So we're going to pop her in a sit. 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 And we're going to pop the treat underneath. Okay, find it. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Very nice. And then when she sniffs it, we're going to lift the pot so she can get her reward. This just starts off by teaching the dogs what we want. So the minute she sniffs it, we mark it with a yes, and she then gets the reward from what's in the pot. This is ideal if your dog has got a stay or a weight. It just makes it easier so they're not trying to nuzzle in and get the treats before you put them under the pot. If not, you can get a family member or someone to help you out, and they may be able to hold the dog for you whilst you put the treats under. Sit. Sit. Then pop the treats under. Then we're going to tap the top, find it. Yes, good girl. And then she gets her reward, good girl. Good. We're also adding a keyword of find it. That tells the dog to go and find something that they want. So this, at the moment we're using food, but Beau is also very toy motivated, so we could use tennis balls or a favourite toy as well that works just as well. Sit. Sit. Okay, find it. Good girl. Good girl. Good find. Then we're going to call her away. Once your dog starts getting the hang of it, we can start getting them to give us something like a sit or a down to cue where the treat or the reward is coming from. So for Beau, we're going to pop her in her weight. We're going to pop the food under. You can tell her to find it. Good. Sit. Sit. That's she. She beat me to it that time. Try again. Sit. Good girl. Find it. Sit. Very good. Good girl. And then she can get her reward. This you may find you do need to put a foot or something on the pot, especially if they're quite light. It can be quite easy for the dogs to knock it over. So sit. 2 more treats under. Find it. Find it. Sit. Very nice. Good girl. Take it then. Good. So for some dogs, they do find it easier to go into a sit or a down. Doesn't matter which one, as long as you get a clear indication of which pot they're going to, that's absolutely fine. You just find what works best for your own dog. So now we can start adding some extra pots in. Good girl. Sit. 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 Good. Okay, find it. Good girl. So as Beau's clearly shown there, the treats were under the middle one, but I have gone back and tapped the other ones and pretended to put one under there, just to almost trick the dog into thinking where the treats are, because some dogs, they can rush into it here and go straight for the pot where they know the treats are. So it's good to vary it, vary which pot the treats are under, whether it goes from the first one to the last one, and also add in extra pots as well. So we'll go once more. Sit. 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 Okay, find it. Find it. Sit. Very nice. Good girl. So for that one, Beau did think it was the first one to begin with. That may be because I tapped that one last. But we can encourage our dogs to carry on moving forward. So we can tap the next few. If the dog doesn't want to carry on from that one, if you know the reward is under there, you can lift it and reward them, because we're waiting for the dogs to indicate to us where the treat is, rather than us showing them. You can go again. So this time, we're going to change it. So we're going to put it under the last pot this time. Come on, good girl. Yeah. Good girl. Sit. 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 Good. Okay, find it. Very nice. Good girl. Good find. Good. So initially, especially with young dogs as well, we can just go along and tap the tops of them each time. So we'll go once more. Both. Ready? Sit. Yeah. Sit. Good girl. Sit. So this time it is under the first one. Find it. We're going to go along, tap the tops. But she's pretty convinced it's this one. So we're going to sit. Good girl. Find it then. Good girl. Good find. Right. So this you don't necessarily have to use big pots like this. You can use plant pots if you've got plant pots, or you can start off with something like some cups and things that you've got at home already. Good girl. And eventually we can build up to even more pots, like Beau has begun doing. So Beau is super smart. She picks things up very, very quickly. Ready? Ready? Good girl. Sit. 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 Good girl. Good sit. Ready? Go and find it. Oh, you've gone past it. So we'll go back round. If they do miss it, that's absolutely fine. We can just go from the beginning and then we can start again. So can I find it? Find it. Good girl. Yes, sit. Sit. Very nice. Good girl. Sit. Very good. Good girl. Especially it can be quite difficult on grass as well, as there are lots of other snails on there. So you can always put a little bowl or a plate or something underneath the pot where you're putting the treats, just to make it slightly easier for the dogs. Good girl. But always remember, if they do get it wrong, just start again. Even if you have to go back to using the one pot, just to make sure that you finish that activity on a positive, with the dog getting it right. Good girl. So another thing that we can do whilst at home with our dogs is making sure they are checked over. Understandably, some vets are difficult to get to, and also groomers at the moment. So it's important to give our dogs sort of our own home health checks on a regular basis, just to make sure they're all fitting well. So for this, especially with dogs that can be nervous of them touching them, Beau's pretty confident, but for training purposes we'll show you this way. So I've got a nice handful of yummy treats back here, and I'm going to let Beau nuzzle them and lick them while I check her ears, which are all fine. And as I check that ear, I'm going to release the treat. Good girl. And as I check the other ear, this is a great time to practice it, especially if your dogs are nervous. It makes vets' life easier as well as your groomers, if a dog is comfortable with being touched all over. Another thing that can be difficult is their claws. So I'm going to pop Beau into it. Oh, slip that one off. Good girl. Sit. Bye. Good girl. Sit. So for this, we're going to good girl. We can check our dog's paws. Good girl. Very nice. Good girl. You can do it in a sit or a down, just to make sure the dogs are happy with us touching up. Good girl. Touching their paws, in between their toes. It's important to still be gentle with it as well, because we don't want to be pulling our dogs around and making them uncomfortable. Good girl. And then we spin Beau round, as she has only got one back leg, to check. Good girl. And she lies on that side. You can just let her nuzzle some treats while we check her back leg, all in between her paws, which she's very happy with. Good girl. It's also important to run our hands down our dogs as well, just to get them comfortable being touched all over. Good girl. It's a good time, especially with dogs that need brushing. We can do this as well, little and often. If your dogs are nervous, do little stages. You don't necessarily have to brush them all in one go, because we want to make sure they are happy with whatever we're doing with them. Good girl. Okay. Not bothered at all. Good girl. Bye. Good girl. This is something that all the family can get involved in. Obviously, if children are getting involved, have parent supervision at all times. But it's good for dogs to get used to being handled by both adults and children, especially if you're going to be out and about, or you've got younger children in the family as well. It's a good thing for them to learn. Good girl. So we can end this off. Good girl on her bed. Oops, knocked it off. So we can try and add in some distance with the centre of her bed as well. Ready? Bye. Very nice, good girl. The Beau is on a lead at the moment, so it can be slightly difficult, but at home, if your dogs are off lead, you can increase the distance a bit easier. Off. Good girl. So we can get bed. We can try and throw it from a distance to increase that space between us and the dog. Good girl. And off. Good girl. So this is something fun that you can do, and you can play games with this as well. Goes on your bed. Good girl. Sit. Nice. Good girl. This will help with distance control. If your dog's happy sending away to a placemat or their beds, we can then start adding in different commands with that as well. Good girl. Ready. Go out of your bed. Good girl. Sit. Very nice. Down. Good girl. And at the end of a session, we can just give her a nice little handful of treats just to finish it off. She's been a very good girl. Yeah. You can see Beau is super happy being on her bed. This is the place she gets the most attention and lots of reward. Beau. Come. Yeah, Beau. Good girl. So thank you for joining in our training session today. I hope it's been helpful and it gives you some extra ideas of what to do with your dogs, especially in the nice weather and having to stay at home. But we'll be back again soon with some different ideas to keep you and your dogs entertained through this time. Thank you for watching.